Some say we need to review the 1914 amalgamation arrangements. They argue that Nigeria is a conglomeration of strange bedfellows. Do you agree with this?
This is a difficult question. Even if I agree with this opinion, how do you go about it? That is the question. Do you just say, don't forget 2014 we went on a conference. What has come out of that conference? Nothing, as far as I'm concerned. The 2005 conference too, we went. What has come out of it? Nothing.
What's responsible for the failure of the national conferences?
Because the government has not put in the necessary instruments of authority and given the mandate for the conferees to do the job they wanted them to do. I attended both conferences, and there's particular in the last conference, the 2014 conference. I led the northern delegates, and right from the beginning, from the way they selected the delegates, the North was skewed up.
Are you suggesting that the National Confab of 2014 that was chaired by a Northerner was handed a script to play against his own region?
What I'm saying is this: he was appointed by the federal government. So are all delegates. But then the number from the North was lower than that from the South. So if you come to decisions taking, it's always faulty. Is it consensus or is it by vote? And they never held any vote. Or is it by show of hands? But one, right from the scratch, you say the composition is 10 to 2 or 10 to 7. How do you get majority?
Now, what are your facts that the representation of that there's a shortfall of northern representation in the 2014 National Confab? Do you have your facts and figures?
Well, you can go and verify. They have published the list state by state. Add and see how many are from, how many northerners are in the conference and how many southerners are in the conference.
Does Nigeria need restructuring?
Does it? No. All you need is good structures, good leadership, and good followership, and justice, equity, and fairness.
Do we have a sustainable and viable structure?
Of course. We have been together for 50 years plus.
But if we have a viable structure, how do we justify the clamor for a review of the resource sharing formula?
What do you say about Niger Delta Commission, resource control apparatus, and the likes which are meant to take care of Niger Delta, and money are being pumped there? What do you talk about onshore, offshore dichotomy? All the rest of them, money is going to that area. Is it being accounted for? Is it being spent for the public, for the regions concerned? What about the allocations of the funds itself based on the current formula? One state in the Niger Delta gets 3 times what, or rather, get more than what 1 or 4 states in other parts of the country get.
Could it be that many of these structures put in place are not efficient enough to address the needs of the common man?
It could be, but it could also be that those are the top.
So
it could
does
be.
that justify the call for restructuring?
Well, it depends on who are calling for the restructuring.
Now let's come to the issue of federal character now. Since you're talking about structure, that is one instrument of the Constitution that people believe, if well utilized, could address many of these challenges. Do you think federal character is being adhered to in many of the appointments and many of the federal government decisions and policies?
Well, I am not in the position to say yes or not. Half-heartedly, yes, but not wholly.
Now, you've made strong statements for the return of power to the North in the past. And the question now is, we've had similar calls from different tribes that this is the time power should come to the Southwest, this is the time power should go to the Middle Belt, this is the time power should go to the Southeast. Now, in all of these agitations now, it's observed that there is a strong ethnic rhetoric and coloration. When are we going to start thinking as a Nigerian?
Yes, there are many different interests in the country, and yet God in his own way put us all together under one umbrella. Why this was done, we leave it to Almighty Allah to do. But we can look back. Why have we gone wrong? Is it in the distribution of amenities? Is it in the development of the whole country or some parts of the country? Or is it in the educational sector or economic sector or what? Let us look at these things and find out why we went wrong.
Some say the agitation is just a deliberate ploy, politically woven to cover up for cases against corruption, and also a deliberate ploy to frustrate good governance. Do you share the sentiment?
Yes, I am. The incumbent president, in his campaigns before election, pledged to fight corruption, pledged to restore security, especially with what is happening in the northeast, Boko Haram, and also revive the economy so that people can be happier. He started on all these things, especially the two, security and corruption. But what did he get? Frustrations all over. Is there being any, they said they recovered so much money. Why is that money? They made arrests. Even some judicial officers were searched, their houses searched and money recovered. They have all gone back to work. So are we really serious about it? Who is doing this?
Now, before we wind down this conversation, now let's look at the issue of referendum. This seems to be an international practice. Now, what's your view about this referendum?
I think it is worthwhile to do it. Why not?
You seem to be showing some reluctance against referendum. Why is this so?
Yes, because I had experienced it. They wanted us to write a new constitution at the 2014 conference. And they brought in a law, or they sent a law to the National Assembly to make effect to that. And we resisted. Because what is a referendum? What is the duty of National Assembly? Elected people, for that matter. You have executive, legislative, and the judiciary. 3 organs of government. Each one has got its own responsibility. So why don't we exhaust this organ first before we think of anything else? Or what do you call it, determination, self-determination. Where do you go to get what you want if you don't get it in your country? These are some of the things you ask. And then, are there any justification on the claimer for self-determination? What has been denied any group of people in this country? Any imperial records or imperial to show it? We should look in, examine these things, investigate, and come up with the reports. Then we can now take action on what should be the correct thing to be done.
The chairman of the Arewa Consultative Forum and the Sultan of Katsina, retired Inspector General Ibrahim Kumasi, thank you very much for making our time to be part of this episode of Question Time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Thank you indeed.
And that's it on this episode of Question Time. What's your take on the idea of national conference? Send us your comments on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. Join us next week on another exciting episode of the show on Channels Television. Many thanks for watching. I'm Benga Ashiru. Bye for now.